Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I have an overview of episode 7 of Wandavision, and this episode, a lot of stuff happened, but very little stuff happened. Like, for most of the episode it was very just slow and not much was happening, but then at the very end, it kicked into top gear. So, what happened? Well, at the start of the episode, we see Director Hayward prepare his sword troops to head into the Hex, probably for an attack of some sort, knowing Hayward. That's the last we hear from him, actually, in the episode. So he's only in the first scene, which, okay, I'm good with that. And then we head back into the Hex. Tommy and Billy are freaking out as their games consoles are regressing slightly. It started off as a PS4, I think, then it moved on to an N64, then an Atari 2600, and then it was a bunch of Uno cards. So, huh? And then Wanda came downstairs and she said, I need a day for myself. And then all of a sudden, she clicks her fingers, Agnes shows up, but not before some other things around the house start to regress to previous time periods of the show. Like, as Wanda's making her breakfast, the milk, which is almond milk, because it's the 21st century now, regresses back to the 1950s glass bottles, and stuff starts to revert randomly, like the TV goes back to the 70s, super boxy TVs, what else? The wallpaper starts to revert back to the 60s, the chairs go back to the 70s or the 80s, a lot of stuff starts to regress, and Wanda's, a little bit confused. She's not quite sure what's happening. So yeah, that's interesting. Anyway, Vision finds Darcy because he recognised her from when he got out of the Hex temporarily. But Darcy's now in the Hex, so isn't Darcy anymore. But that doesn't last long, as Vision, does this whole head touch thing. She comes back to herself as Darcy, so she's actually able to help Vision around Westview and basically get him up to speed on what's happened to him before the Hex. So she explains how he used to be Jarvis, that he was killed by Thanos, killed by Wanda, then again by Thanos. Explained that he was created for Ultron's evil purposes, but Tony managed to save him. So basically, their thing throughout this episode was getting Vision up to speed on what's happened to him before Westview. That's basically all that happened, along with some very funny things like a bunch of red lights. There's a roadworks thing that comes up just as they're about to move on. Just the lights turn green, roadworks come up right in front of them. Then when the roadworks go, a school crossing guard comes along the road and sends about 3-4 classes of children across the road for reasons probably Wanda related. But that's their arc done for the episode. Then Agnes, as I said, takes care of the kids for the day, Tommy and Billy, or should I call them Speed and Wiccan, who will be young Avengers one day. But Monica eventually gets her gear from the people she's been waiting for, which isn't Reed Richards or the Fantastic Four, sadly. She gets back into the Hex and explains to Wanda that Director Hayward is planning to reactivate Vision to weaponize him, so in essence, you're giving him what he wants. Let him go. And then Agnes comes in and says, you, out. But there is something that happened on her way into the Hex. Monica's eyes turned ice blue. And there's been a lot of things going around lately saying that this could mean that she gains her comic book powers, which will give her and at which point she will name herself Photon, which is her superhero name and a tribute to her mother, who in the Air Force was called Maria Photon Rambeau. So that'll be a tribute to her mother. And yeah, so I think Monica is now Photon, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, the big thing at the end. Agnes, after dealing with Monica, takes Wanda back to her house and, well, some weird stuff happens. Wanda notices that Tommy and Billy are nowhere to be found. Agnes says that they're in the basement playing. She goes down to the basement, sees an evil witch's lair. Surprise! Agnes ain't Agnes. No. She is, as the internet's been speculating for the last few weeks now, Agatha Harkness. Now, I wasn't too convinced of this theory, which is why I've never mentioned it, but now it's confirmed. She is Agatha Harkness, and Agatha is an evil witch from the Marvel Comics. So there's going to be a battle between those two at some point. I do not doubt that for a moment. And it turns out that Agatha has been controlling everything. Unfortunately, that does include Pietro. Pizza. But I still want to know where he came. I still think he's X-Men's Peter, but he was controlled by Agatha. Which is a big shame, but I still think he is that version of Quicksilver. So I still think that's going to be a thing, that they cross over, but yeah. But unfortunately, as well, no Magneto this week. But I do think he's going to be coming either next week or in the finale, because they won't have put that scene in for in the trailer for nothing. So he'll be in the next 2 episodes, I hope, or I'm going to look like the biggest idiot on the internet. And yeah, so all in all, really good episode of WandaVision. I'm not going to lie. As I said, this is the, I believe, final sitcom episode, and it probably is, considering the end, how the end went. So this is the final sitcom episode, which means now we're into full-blown MCU action. Just the way we like it and love it. And that'll do it for this video. As always, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to mine and Roxanne's YouTube channels. Her link is down there in the description. My sub button is down there somewhere. You guys can see it. Don't forget to comment, because why not? And to let me know what you thought of this episode. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and Roxanne on her blog and Twitter. Those links are also down in the description, which is the down arrow next to the video title, in case you guys didn't know. And lastly, don't forget to share this video with all of your friends so they can join the infinite loop of liking, subscribing, commenting, following, and sharing, and around and around and around that loop. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Goodbye.